Good morning, good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. Looking forward to another week. I've got my caffeinated tea, so I'm ready to go. And we're starting a new project today, which is always really exciting because new projects are the best. That's it's a blank sheet of paper, well, IDE, and we get to have some fun with it, hopefully. So I've been going back and forth on our requirements for this physics-based random chooser. And I kind of don't know if I want to have a chat to be able to enter in at the time of loading in, or if I want something else like chat can register to join in, that then drops them into the file, and then you run another program to actually do the drawing. Kind of feel I want to do essentially a 1-2 punch for that. But I go back and forth on whether or not I think that would be good. I do like the idea of keeping this physics-based sort of chooser completely separate, because then I can make multiple of them potentially over time, but have a single way for chat or anybody else to get their options into it. So yeah, with that, let's just say that later on I can we can build the command or the tool that you can enter into it. For this one, we're going to go with a some kind of just a single file. So let's go ahead, make sure that we're all up to date with Rust. Unchanged, perfect. So what do I want to call this? Basically, probably, it's not necessarily a drop game type thing, although it could be very similar to that. It's really random chooser. It kind of reminds me of pachinko a little bit. I don't really know what to call all the nails and that kind of thing. So let's do a cargo new random chooser. Let's see. Random chooser nail drop. Or just drop. What was our other idea? Our other day was something completely different. So maybe drop would be it. Drop. All right, just making sure everything is running and we're all happy here. Also, if you want to see what version of Rust we're using, we're using latest stable Rust, which is 1.51. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in a README. Okay, so Rust is that. I guess you can still figure out what the versions of everything else is based upon what we have in a cargo toml, so that should be fine. And I guess the plan is here. I'm gonna get a view only. Anyone with the link. That way you can see it, but you can't actually do anything with this plan. All right. I think we're good there for like the initial setup. What do we need to do with this? We probably need some kind of like file that we're going to load up. Also, we've learned that having a config is really nice to have. So we might want to load that up too. So let's actually create a config dot. Let's use JSON because I think that's, I mean, I like JSON a lot. And then we're also going to want the choices. I also want to make this a JSON. Now, initially I was thinking that the choices could be something as simple as like choice 1 and then new line. But if I am eventually going to like open this up for, you know, viewers in chat, maybe even like viewers in YouTube, doing something in like the comments or going and like clicking a button somewhere, I want them to be able to like maybe customize like the color of their circle and, you know, what it looks like maybe. And so in that specific case, I would want to be able to do something like have choices be an array, then have an object, and then we can do something like name is, I don't know, this could be like first choice, color could be like, something like that. I don't think that's actually a valid color. I think it would be something like F3. So this could be nice here. And then we can use this to convert. Then grab this information to convert to the actual color we want when we read this in. And our config JSON, we're going to want this just to be an object, and we're going to store things like the gravity and anything else in there that we want. We're also going to use all the lessons that we've learned from the previous games and simulations. So we'll probably be using some kind of like observer pattern type thing for message passing back and forth. I don't know how much we're going to need that, but we'll figure it out. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in, we're going to get GG Easy set up and like just a basic window going. So we're using 051 for GGEZ. And we're probably, you know, the first thing that we're going to want to do here for our config is we're going to want like the title. And then we're going to pull that in to be given to GGEZ. I guess like what I'll do is I'll add those in as we need them. Although that being said, we need to pull in this config.json. We need to do that with Serde. Should be extremely helpful. So let me go remember how that works. I think we want Serde JSON. Oh, it's 1.0 now. That's nice. Okay, so we read our file in. So it sounds like no matter what, the first thing we need to do is read our file in. So let's just go ahead and give ourselves, we know we're gonna need like a title in here. So in this case, the title is gonna be random chooser drop. Let's see. Then I want Serde underscore. Oh, 1064. Nice. Then in so right now in main we don't have anything like this. what I would love to be able to do is be able to just grab the like the file, like the serde from some kind of command. Maybe even like tell it what the file, like where the file should be. So like we could do const like config file path, expect you to be a stir. You're gonna be, can we just do config JSON? Okay, so you're happy there. So if I have like a module in here to be able to actually do that thing, so let's create our live.rs, and then I also want this module for like extracting out the config. So that's probably going to be like a config.rs. So in u, we're going to have a pub mod config. Then we can play inside of here. So I don't know if, I don't think this needs to be a struct. This could probably just be a file or a function in here. So we can have like a function, maybe something like load config. This can take in the path of the config, which is, we already know is a stir. And we're going to return some kind of object for that, which means if we need some kind of struct, we should probably have that in a separate file. So let's create a folder for this. Config, you're going to go into here and we're going to rename you to mod. Okay, I don't know necessarily what to return yet. Probably some kind of like config object or struct. So can call this the config struct. Config like that, which means you need I don't know if that would work. I think it will. So we're going to return, let's see, inside of here, we need a hub struct config. There's nothing inside right now. So you can return a config. So we'll just return a config like this for right now. Okay, that should make you happy. And yeah, this is all working so far. Excellent. Okay, so if I wanted to like debug things through here, like I wanted to just throw a debug of this path. And we go into our main library here. We have this config file. That config is going to be equal to load config, and we're going to pass in the config file path, and that gives us that. So if we run this again, yeah, there we go. Path equals config.json. So that got passed in correctly. We're like things are looking good so far. So we can go back into mod here. So if we have this path, we're gonna want to load up the actual file at this point. So we're gonna need file. So like let the config file is equal to So we can use file system file. What do you need? Feels like that's not what I want. I think what I really want is to use the standard FS file. So not you. Then we can open. And wait, is there like a file read to string or something like that? I don't see one. Okay, so let's open. Then we give it the path. So that's gonna be our path here. Now we get a result here. So that tells me we should probably just right away bring in. I'm gonna use error. And then you're gonna return a result. Once an algebra is done sort of looking through this. In algebra, Rust Analyzer. That's what I mean. Come on. Error result, and this is going to be the config. That does mean you need to be in. Okay. That's okay. So now I can question mark you. That gives us the file here. In main, we do need to handle this. Let's actually just go ahead here and return a result with nothing in it, which means that we can question mark you and okay that. All right, so with that, we should be able to, I can just make sure that it works. It should find the path, because if I give it the wrong path, I think it won't find, I think it errors out. We can double check that really quickly. Yep, we have an error, cannot find the file, so perfect. So it loads that up, and now we want to use the Serde JSON. Well, I guess we need to load this into a string, don't we? So what is that going to look like? We need a let mute the actual like config string. So config JSON it's going to be equal to a string new. I'm going to do config dot let's actually rename this config file. But you're not telling me what you can do. Oh, wait a second. I'm not thinking this right. This is the wrong. Load config. I'm in the wrong file. This should be config. I don't need it here. Here. We need to go into load config. This is where we're loading this file. So we have the config file. Then we have config JSON. You need to be a mutable. Okay, new string, and then we can do our config file dot. There's something we can do here. It's not read. Oh, is it? Is it read? No, I don't think it's bytes. All right, I forgot exactly what it is. Okay, so we bring in file. Okay, so we do a file open. And then it's going to be read to string. Also, this is standard FS file. Yeah, okay, standard FS file. So we need then this file handler. The file open. We're going to do a file read to string. You also need to be immutable. Oh, now it has it. Okay, cool. Read to string, and then our buffer. So this is going to be a mutable reference to the config JSON. Question mark U. So now we should have like the actual config JSON like raw string here. Which means, I mean, I could just print that out. So we could just do a debug config JSON. Where's my error? And there it is. Here we have this raw. It's just stringified, but it's JSON. So we're pretty good to go now. So that means we need to turn it into the actual struct. It's coming back to here. So we're gonna need into the strongly typed data structure. That's what we want to do. So we want this type of struct. So we're going to need to derive, serialize, and deserialize. So that means we need serde. Okay, so we need to add serde also. I love they have these little checkboxes. That's great. All right, so that should give us the ability to now derive out of here. So we should now be able to use this serialize and deserialize on the struct. So that's going to be in our config.rs derive Okay, so that now allows us to serialize this, which means this now has to match what we have in our JSON. So if we take a look at what our choices are here, no, not choices. We want config. We're gonna have to do the same thing with the choices too. We have just title here. So a title, and you're gonna be a string. Okay, so we have this config file, read to string. Then we already got that out. Now we want to serialize this out. Okay, so we have to type it, and then we can do serde.json from stir, and then pass it in the raw data. So let our config is gonna be a type config equals what is it? Serde JSON? Yeah, Serde JSON from stir, then pass it in the config JSON. You're a string, so we'll just reference you like that. You give us a result, so question mark u, and we should be able to just return this config now, like that. And that means in our main, we get this config. We should now be able to just debug the config. It does mean that we will go to config and also derive debug. And here we go. We now have a config struct, or an instance of that struct, with the appropriate title here. So perfect. So now we can add in new things as we want to. And this will make it so that if we need to make any changes, we don't have to recompile necessarily. We just recompile whenever we need to update the config, essentially, or just new code. Okay, so that means in main, we create our config here, and now we can now start doing our actual well, everything we need for GGEZ. So what's the first thing we need to do? We need to create like the window mode, and so window mode default. Is there anything that we care about in here? Probably dimensions. We should probably care about dimensions, which will give us like our width and our height. So in here, I'm gonna add in width. Let's do for right now. 1280 by 720. So 1280. .0. Height is 720.0. The reason why I'm choosing 1280 by 720 is that's the perfect size for thumbnail images for like YouTube and Twitch. So we can also set up a thumbnail generator off of this where I can just like press space or enter and it will like just print out a thumbnail. So that'll be really nice too. Or at least like the background part of it. We can add some text later off stream. But if I do this, then that does mean that in our config.rs, I need to also handle this too. So we're gonna have a width. You're gonna be F32 and a height, F32. I don't have to do anything else here. Back to main. Now we're gonna have a config.width and a config.height. Oh, that does mean that you need to be, these all need to be public. Great, and so now we have a window mode. What other dimensions do we care about this? I don't think we care about anything else. So I'm going to leave that aside. Then we're going to do the window setup. Okay, so here's where we can now set our title. The title is going to be the config.title. VSync. Do I want to turn VSync off? I'm thinking I'm gonna leave it on for right now. But you know what? Something we can do is we could just add in a VSync here. So VSync, you're gonna be true, so you're on. So vsync, this will be our config.vsync. And is there anything else? For vsync, no, we're good to go. Okay, so that gives us all of those things. Let's go ahead and move this back here. Now we have that, we should be able to build our context. Okay, so we need the game ID and then the author. The game ID is what's gonna show up in the folder structure in like wherever games like save themselves. So that's like app data in Windows, and I think like .config in Linux, and like the library somewhere like application support in Mac. Which means I want to store this away. So this is the app title. So it's not necessarily the same thing as the title here, but let's see, it's the game ID. So in this case, we're going to just call this the random chooser drop. The other thing that we need here is the author. Now, actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if I want to put this in the config. I think these should probably be hard coded in, because like if somebody else uses this, then those should remain the same and be consistent. So I'm not going to put them in here. G Montana 74, hello. We are working today on, well, it's a brand new project, so just starting off. This is going to be a physics-based random chooser. So I don't know if you've seen, like, there's tons of these like random wheel pickers around where people can like, just put in a bunch of choices, click the button, and it spins around and it chooses based upon where it lands. I want to do the same thing, except instead of a random wheel, we're going to do maybe like more of like a bunch of balls sort of falling through a pachinko style layout where there's like nails and then they're bouncing around, and then the first one to reach a certain space, that's the winner. So that's what we're starting to build. And we're using Rust and GGEZ, and then for our physics library, we're going to use Rapier 2D. Okay, so with new here, our game IDs, this is going to be our random chooser drop, I guess. Let's see. Then Gonna give it a window mode. That window mode. The window setup. And then build this. Which gives us our context. Okay, so what are you upset about? Mismatched types, expected a stir. Okay. All right, so then it's just complaining that we're not using this. The next thing we'd want to do is create our main state in the games. That's in a library here. I don't know if I'm gonna do like a new function on it just to make it a little bit easier to use. Although I don't necessarily know if what I need to store inside of here yet, but we do know that we need something. So let's go ahead and store in pub function new. Let's take into context. We usually ended up, well, actually, you know what? I don't think I need the context. I think I have a new pattern for using this. Return a self. A self. That for right now. Then the other thing we need to do is import the event handler for main state. And then for each one of these, context. We don't need you right this second. So you're just gonna return okay. And we're gonna do a background color. So we need to set what the background color is going to be. So we should store the config in here. Which means we're gonna take in the config. We'll take ownership of it, and then we'll store it away. Okay, so with that, we're also gonna want in config to have like maybe the background color. We're gonna want you to be a color. And I need to remember how to create a custom Serde like type here. What are you upset about? Right, it does not, okay, it does know how to serialize that. But there is a system for doing this. I just don't remember where it is. I think this is what we need to do. Is create a custom serializer and deserializer. When you say custom map type, I think this is it. Oh, wait. I think this is it. Implementing a serializer. And in this case, I think what we want first is a deserializer. So get our input. I don't know if we need. I think this is the one we deal with, right? These are all previously made, I think. No, wait. There's a. Still might be wrong. Let's see. I want to go take a look at the previous project that we did this with. It was a long time ago. I think we did this with the jungle game. Because inside of here we had our config, right? So we had this Serde color here. Okay, then we created this serialize and deserialize function. Okay, and then we go back to config, and then in mod, here's our config, and so wherever we had this color, we then did this, Serde with, and then this function, the Serde color. That's what we want to do here. So if we come back to Serde color, which is exactly what we want, let's sort of like re-familiarize ourselves with this code. So first of all, we're going to use color. That's going to be fine. So we have to create this public function serialize, and it's going to have, it looks like a generic S with the serialize S coming in. All right, I'm going to put this over here. And let's go and create, this is going to be a color. So we're going to have a pub function, serialize, not like that. Serialize with a generic S. You take in the color, which is, oh right. So like basically, this is serializing from the struct. So you know what? Let's actually do deserialize first. I think that will make a little bit more sense. So public function deserialize. We take it. Oh, we have to have a lifetime D and E. I guess deserialize. And then the generic D. So ser D. We're going to return a result. I don't know if it matters what kind of result it is. I'm going to try an error result and we'll see what happens. But we're going to return a color. Where D is a Serde deserializer. And then the actual body here. So we did find that we need this entire thing. So Serde deserialize. As we don't really care, we just need to pull it in. Then we're gonna grab an RGB out of here. That RGB. So U8s. There's gonna be 3 U8s. Okay, yeah, so that makes more sense. You can give RGB in U8 values. Serialize. And then we're gonna then a return. So okay, color from RGB, and then we just hand it the RG and B, and that's what we return. We do need this serialized though in here, otherwise it won't work. So I think it will yell at us if we try to like pull this in. We need Serde with equals. Oh, we need to go all the way to like create config. Oh, we probably should call it a Serde color. That would make sense. Fail to resolve, that kind of makes sense. In this mod, we're going to rename you to Serde color, which means you get renamed to Serde color. Okay, so you're happy there. And now, okay, cannot find function serialize and module, and then mismatch types and deserialized. Okay, so it's yelling us that we don't have serialize, and then this is, okay, so it doesn't like the error. Okay, so we need to make this an actual real error in here as opposed to a error result. Just do that. And then this result, it's going to be a color. And this S error. Oh, in this case, it's the D error. All right, that should make you happy for one side of things. And then we need the then we need the serialize. So serialize brings it back into JSON form. This we just need the S. Color is going to be just a reference to a GGEZ color. And then we also have this ser S. Give it a result. Okay. S error. A lot of this is just sort of like boilerplate where I don't necessarily like exactly know what it's doing, but as long as it works, I'm also okay with that. Okay, so once we have that, then we'd get to do all this fun stuff. So the same thing, the same use. So serialize seek as. Don't care about that. The serialization should never happen also. I'm never going to call it. So I don't need this to be like super fast running code either. Okay, so let mute. We have our sequence, or I think it's sequence. Then serialize. Nope, wrong one. Serialize seek some 3. A sequence of 3 things. That's what we're doing. A sequence of 3 things. And then we're gonna get this red, green, blue out of here. And then 2 RGB. Set grabs those. So now we have these U8s. And then all right. What are you upset about? Okay, you're not. Oh, okay. So we have serializer. That was our problem. Still have an error somewhere. Can I find this sum s? Where did this come from? This should be sum 3. All right, there we go. So now we should be able to grab in like a color from a config. So have a background color, and that's going to be an RGB. So in our config.json, okay, background color, and you're going to be, I can't remember if it's a tuple or an array. I think it's a tuple of, like, let's just try like 12. That. No, I think it has to be an array. Like that. Okay, so if we do that, we should have this background color. I should be able to run this. If we get an error, then that means it couldn't turn it into the color. But it did. Okay, perfect. That means in our main library, in our draw, I want to set the background color, and we have the color in the config, which we store here. So we can do a graphics clear, has the context, and then this is going to be a self.config.background color. So whatever that color is, it should be displayed now, except crash. Probably because we need to actually run the thing. But we've got this set up now, so we can come back to main. we can now load up our main state. Let mute. Oh, these need to be mutable. Okay, so mute our main state. State new. That gives us that. What are you upset about? Takes one argument. Oh, the config. So handed in that config. Then let's see. What do we need to do next? After our main state, then I think just run the thing. So we're gonna do event run, pass it in mutable reference to the context, pass it in a mutable reference to the event loop, and then a mutable reference to main state. And now things should work. There we go. And whatever, so this is our background color that we set up for ourselves. If I were to go into this config JSON and we just set this to be something like much brighter, it's a U8. So I can do something like 200, 212, 195. You run this very, very quickly. Like notice there's no real compile time, it just reruns. And that's the power of having a context, or sorry, a config. We'll have to figure out what a good like background color is going to be for this. Right now we can make it gray, decently dark, but not too dark. So maybe we can do like 100, 100, 100. There, it's not too bad. Okay, what is next? So we've got everything sort of like the base working now. If I want to pull in like the random generated like names of what we're going to be pulling in there, it's going to be the same thing, isn't it? Like the random choices, that's what we would need. Now we know the config here, we probably want to store the path to the random choices in the config. So let's actually do that. So this is going to be the choices path, and then you're just going to be choices.json. All right, and now we have our choices path in here. So if we want to load up all of our choices, now something I noticed, we're probably going to want a color out of here too. But only if it doesn't include one. I don't know how I want to deal with that. In choices JSON, I would want to make this something similar. So we just have an RGB. So maybe something like 200, 50, 55, Okay, so if I want to grab this out, so we have our config separately. Then the next thing is to have like the actual choices and to load them. In our main library, if I was to like actual load the choices now, we probably want to have something like choices.rs, you, okay, are outside of there. All right, so we're gonna have a pub struct choices. We're going to derive serialize, deserialize. I guess this is actually a choice, isn't it? And then we want the choice to, okay, yeah, we want just to have a choice here. Probably want to implement debug for it too. Let's say we don't have color right to begin with. We just have an array of objects like this. So just the name. So that'll be a string. So if I want to load those up, I may need to do like a file load in here or a function. Like what would we need to do? We need to grab the file for the choices. Yeah, I wonder if I want to do that all inside of here. It's not really a config thing, so I don't feel comfortable throwing it into a config. That doesn't feel like it makes sense. But then again, does it? Because it is like a configuration thing, so maybe it does make sense to throw it into config. I don't know. Let's just do all the things inside of here to begin with. So if I like impl choice, pub function, if we have something like a load, we take in a config, which is a reference to a config. We're going to turn a result with a self in it. And it's actually going to be all of them, right? So you're going to be a vec of self. I don't know if this makes sense to put this on choice, because it shouldn't really be aware of itself, should it? like that there needs to be multiple of them. I kind of then want to have just like a function here. Pub function load choices. You'll take the config. And we're going to return result with a vec of a choice. I mean, so technically this is happy so far. We're not doing anything with our choices. We're not loading them up. Okay, so we need to load up using the file name, which we can get through config here. You need to be mutable. At least I think you need to be mutable. I might create that. Maybe I wonder if Serde will be able to handle this too with like the array. Okay, so then you're going to be the config dot choices path. Once we have our choices file, we need the actual like choices JSON. Nope, that's not how you work. That's how you work. Okay. Now our choices JSON is populated. Then we want to, I'm going to guess also we could, oh no, we can't loop through it yet. We want to Serde. Oh, I wonder if this is now where we do this. Choices, I don't think I need to make this immutable. Is going to be a vec choice equals Serde JSON from stir choices JSON and then we return choices. It's not yelling at us yet. Okay, so let's load choices into our main library. We do need to return a result here. So if I debug main state at this point in time, Let's see, which part? Okay, so main state needs to implement debug. So, debug there, and then, okay, choices also need to derive debug. Okay, so now if we run this, we should see all of our JSON. Okay, so and then here's our choices. So that is working, and we have this as a vector. So perfect. Now if I want to pull in that color for what that choice is going to be, we're like this Serde color has to be out some kind of like helper library for us. So I'm going to create another folder called helpers. And we're going to bring in Serde color inside of here. Okay, so you don't know about Serde color, and that's going to be fine. You know about Serde color, and then you know about helpers. So mod helpers, which means you don't care about that. But you, okay, so you get saved. Okay, so instead of config Serde colors, this is going to be helpers. Serde color. All right, no errors anymore. So this should still work. And it does. Okay, perfect. Which means now in choices.json, for each name, we can also have a color. And you're going to be an array of like whatever color we want this to be. So let's have this be, what's that? 250, 200, 5. Then in choices, color, and you're a color. We do need to say, what is it, Serde width? Yeah, this entire Serde width. Okay, so if we run you again, we should now see the color. And there it is. Okay, so we now have a color for that choice. So nice. What would be next? So we've loaded up we have a config. We can start using that. We have like the choices. We can start like pulling those in. Right now we only have names and colors. If I want a second one in here, just to make sure that this is doing what I think it's doing. This would be second choice. I'll just do 12 there. Yep, it works exactly as we expect. We have a vector of first choice and second choice, and the color comes in separately. So perfect. Now, what if I wanted the option of not putting in a color? Like, what if this got left out? This should fail, right? Because, yeah, we didn't have a color. Can I give it a default? Oh, that Estes sidebar? Oh, that's not the standard Rust. Is there no search? There's no search. Oh, that's too bad. I mean, I suppose we could write something that will like always give us a color. We might have to. So I want to skip deserializing. Okay, default value. Okay. Survey default equals whatever that is. So maybe we can do this. So it is default equals. Can I do something like white? And then up here, we pull in white. I don't know if that's going to work. Expected a literal of some kind. Expected a literal, okay. Can I tell you exactly what this is? This would be graphics white. Expected a function. Oh, okay. That could be a function we create in helpers, I suppose. So like default color, essentially. Insert a default color. I don't know what this needs like implement. So let's just do insert a default color. I don't know what you need to take in. You're gonna return a color. So it's gonna return white. Okay. Back to here. So you're gonna be create helpers. Insert a default color. Oh, that works. Okay, that gives us a white color here. So we're able to put this in for when we're like missing a color. So basically, hey, become this color, but if you don't have it, then just this is the default color that we're gonna have, which is really nice. That being said, we can also go into our config JSON and have like a default color set up for ourselves. So default color Now we can have this be something like, let's have it be like just slightly off white so we can see the difference. You're going to be a 250, 50, 250. So it's like a very light gray. Then I'm going to come back to config here. Okay, so we're going to get our default color here. Then with our starting default color, we're going to take in a config, which is a reference to the config. Then we're going to return a dereferenced config dot default I guess I don't need that. Config. Did I like not save it? Oh, here's default color off of this config. Oh, I didn't pull in this. That's why. Default color. There we go. So then where we're using this is in choices here. Now, can I actually paste in what this is? Oh, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can paste in the default color. Like, I don't know if I can like pass in the config. Oh, okay. So never mind. I think we're gonna have to stay for right now with the white with this, and we're just gonna have to not worry about it. So pass you in. We don't need this. All right, so that's gonna be fine. You fine down here. Well, then why? Mod config. Yeah, don't. Oh, it doesn't need to be public. That's what it's yelling at me about. No. Oh, module is the same name as its containing module. That's what it's yelling at me about. Right, and yeah, I know that it can be a little bit a little bit confusing because this is the actual config struct. You can maybe rename you to config struct. Oh, you renamed already there. Nice. But then it's still config in here, so that's gonna be fine. Choices. So config. Config struct config. You need to be public. All right, and then no errors. Just some yelling at me about words like vsync. That's a real word. Sure, it's an absolute real word. Believe me. Tool chains. Sure. Trochaics? No. Desert, no, just. Okay, so no errors, no warnings. If we run this code, now I guess like in our choices JSON, is it gonna yell at us because we don't have that? Oh, it doesn't yell at us if we have extra things in our config JSON. So default color has to go away, but then everything should still be fine. Can it not? No, extra comma. Default color. Oh, because I didn't remove it. We don't need this default color. There we go. Now everything loads up the way we expect it to. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it for our morning with that. I need to head off to work. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the YouTube video here. So you've been watching. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.